If you have strong opinions about pocket clips, you might be a knife nerd. Well, we are too. And on episode 216 of Knife AQ, where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull, we're going to look at pocket clips and how no matter what you're looking for, the right or wrong clip can make or break a knife. So, that and more questions right after this. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center. It's Thomas behind the camera as usual.
Clip.
And for those of you new to the series, we answer questions from the comment section on our YouTube channel. So if you've got a question, you think it might be worthy of a future episode, just drop it below. We'll take a look. First question today comes from Puskelm. Hey DCA and Thomas and Seth, wherever Seth is right now. My birthday is coming up and I would like to surprise myself.
Good luck.
Not sure that's quite how surprise works. With a pocket knife. Please recommend one to me. I could probably do that. My requirements: budget, $200. Blade, under 3 inches. One hand opening and closing, narrow, pocket-friendly design, truly deep carry pocket clip for discreet carrying. Thank you, gentlemen. Pluralized it, so it's maybe we're both gentlemen. Anyway, cool. Yeah, I can do something for you here. And the key factor, as I'm reading through your list, that's going to help us narrow down is that truly deep carry statement you mentioned. Now I remember, like when I first started getting into knives, deep carry pocket clips were not nearly as common as they are now. They've kind of proliferated across the industry. But more often than not, back then, you'd either have a tip down pocket clip so that the knife when closed would be pointed this way. That is less common now as well. But especially at the time when big tactical knives were more in their heyday, you want a bit of handle sticking up to be able to grab onto it easily or more easily, when the adrenaline is flowing. But we've seen an explosion in just everyday carry, utility focused pocket knives, just a normal pocket knife. And deep carry has some advantages there. It keeps it more out of sight. You don't necessarily need quick access, but like it or not, I'm gonna fall in the don't like it camp. Knives in certain environments, can make you a bit of a pariah. You don't necessarily want to shout about the fact you have a knife on you. Unfortunate, but there it is. But how deep carry does it need to be, quote unquote, to be what you need, right? Take for instance, here's two knives that I think would fit your needs pretty well, but the clips, they can be deeper than this. The CRKT Q is a great example. Yes, it's a deep carry pocket clip, but if you line that up and draw a line horizontally to the end of that clip, you've got a little bit sticking up. I would argue it's probably not enough to make a difference, but I hear what you're saying. I'm gonna do my best to get it to you. Cool knife though, by the way. Richard Rogers design, you can check it out. All of these, you can check out more information on them at the links below, so I don't have to go over the full specs on each of the ones we're looking at. The other style of clip that's really nice for subtlety is the wire pocket clip. Spyderco certainly popularized it, but they're not the only company doing that sort of thing. The Vosteed Parallel would fit your needs, I think, pretty well, were it not for needing a deeper pocket clip. There's a little bit of handle sticking up out of here. Otherwise, super narrow this way too, not just narrow on the height of the blade. So I'm showing you the two things that I'm saying are not what you want. Here's what you probably do want. Or here's, I think, 3 really good suggestions. I'm gonna start with there are 3 from MKM, actually. Maniago Knife Makers, nice Italian-made stuff. And we're gonna start with kind of what has long been my favorite style of deep carry pocket clip, and that is the tail-mounted deep carry pocket clip. I first encountered it on a Buck Vantage back in the day, and always thought it was a fantastic solution. And you can find that on some knives out there nowadays, like the MKM Flame Light. Certainly has the narrowness in the pocket factor that you asked for. Sub 3-inch blade. This one's on sale. Normal price is $150. This particular one's on sale, at least now while we're filming it, for just under $135 with an M390 blade. That's really nice. And there is the pocket clip we're looking at right there. Screwed in from the back of the knife. It can't get deeper than that without being further out. We're gonna get to that. The thing I like about this, in addition to just being very deep, is it's also reversible and maintains that depth on either side, and you don't have extra screws in the front of the handle to achieve that flip around ability. Ambidextrosity.
Maybe these are words.
You got one?
No.
No. Really cool knife. It's based on the Manhattan Special 3, the MS3 from Michael Ziba. Flame light. And make sure to get the light version. The standard versions, which are frame locks instead of the liner lock, those come with a milled clip that is not deep carry like this particular clip is. Very cool knife though. I think would certainly fit the bill. Another knife from MKM, the Miura. If you're into something a little more exotic without being a budget breaking price, this one comes in at $199.90 right now. So 10 cents under the max budget that you set. Again, 2.72 inch blade, Magna Cut steel here. So you've got, in addition to stainlessness, you've got a very tough steel and it holds an edge very, very well. You've got integral handle construction. The originals of these were titanium, but this less expensive version is aluminum, and the handle is a single piece milled out of a single chunk of aluminum. That is a cool thing. You've also got the button lock there, so you've got finger safe closing action, flickability with the wrist while you hold the button down, nice pop with the thumb studs, and this is the second modified sheep's foot style blade.
No, it ain't.
Call it a reverse Tanto if you want, Thomas. Actually, there's a bit of a theme on some of the picks. We've got this kind of blade shape. And this one uses 2 screws, but it is likewise a tail-mounted pocket clip, which is pretty nice. And there's a few colors available. I'm going to get back to this in a little bit. I've got another point to make, but I'm going to make it later. Like I said, always been a fan of the tail-mounted pocket clip, but there are actually even deeper options nowadays. I'm going to show you one right now. The MKM Yipper, designed by Ben Peterson. Still has that same narrow quality that you were talking about looking for. You've got Magna Cut steel, 2.83 inches, whatever, reverse Tanto blade shape. It says sheep's foot on the website, Thomas.
I'm about to talk to somebody.
G10 handles, and it has a standard side-mounted pocket clip, but it actually extends past the end of the handle. And it's a very miniaturized pocket clip as well. So not only is that knife going to be buried very deep in the pocket and very out of sight, out of mind, you've got just a small bit of clip visible on the outside, which, the smaller, the subtler in this sort of case. Good action on the crossbar lock with these MKMs. Works really nice. There's a fancy version with a Damasteel blade, but that gets way above the price point. Just under 140 bucks for that one. Real good price for Magna Cut for sure. One other you could look at that has a similar style of pocket clip it fails on one other account. You mentioned a 3-inch blade, and if you have to have for sure a 3-inch or under blade, this knife won't work for you. But if you have a little bit of flexibility there, you could check out the Kershaw Bel Air. This version right here, the fanciest one currently available, marbled carbon fiber, Magna Cut blade, crazy, crazy thin. $195 right now, Magna Cut steel as well, and check out the depth of that pocket clip right there. It's a little bit bigger than the Yippers outside of the pocket for sure, and you've got actual lettering on that. Whether that's a turnoff or not for you is also something to consider. But at 3.1 inches on the blade, I wanted to at least mention it in the context of what we're talking about right here. Another past the tail mounted pocket clip we can talk about is the SOG Ultra XR. And this is not nearly as narrow as the MKMs or even the Bel Air that we just looked at, but it is super flat thanks to the construction here, just carbon fiber essentially for the handles. No liners going back at all. You've just got the pivot and lock hardware right around here, and the rest of it is unsupported carbon fiber. It's strong enough for sure, even though you do have some flex. It's not a hard use knife, but it is strong enough and super flat. May or may not appeal to you in this sort of scenario, but here it is. Price is $155 for this version. You've got S35 VN for the blade steel, and a money clip style of clip here. And you can see it looping around from the back. So again, very deep carry, maybe a little more prominent on the outside, so keep that in mind. This actually comes with a second pocket clip right here. It still has the SOG lettering on it, but it is more low profile. And I'll just line it up so you can see it does extend still past, there you go, the end of the handle. So take your pick. Last but not least, of some good options that you could take a look at here is this, the We Knife Company version of the Elementum. The Civivi Elementum, crazy popular knife. This is a premiumized version of it. And it doesn't have a pocket clip that sticks out past the tail of the knife, but it is pretty much right at the end. So it is deep carry in that regard, but the color in this case could also play a role in being discreet, or what was the exact word you used? Yeah, discreet carry. This is going to depend on your attire, of course, but if you are a blue jeans wearer, this Stonewash Blue Titanium, both handle and the pocket clip, could go a long way to making it blend in even more. I mean, it's almost like stonewashed denim in its nature. Because at the end of the day, you know, even the Bel Air with its very deep pocket clip right there, no matter what sits in your pocket, someone could see like the top of it, right? It's going to be a little bit. And that's just the price you pay for it actually being accessible. You want your knife to be accessible, right? This could mute it, tone the knife down, so to speak. Price is $176, 3-inch drop point blade, 20 CV steel, so great edge retention, the strength of a frame lock. Again, not as narrow, but I think pretty darn narrow. If the narrowness is a real concern or is a higher concern in your list of priorities, those 3 MKMs, you can't go wrong with either of them. Hope that helps. Truly. Actually, oh, one more thing to talk about. I mentioned wire clips at the beginning. I still think the Vosti is probably your best bet if that's deep carry enough for you. If not, the best stuff I could find within the price and size range that you were looking for, I don't think really do the dimensional qualities you were looking for. The PMP Harmony, very deep carry wire clip, but it's a slip joint, so it's not two-hand opening, which you were looking for. Cool knife though, M390, 190 bucks. And the Fox Knives Core has a pretty darn deep carry wire clip, but this is chunk-a-mug. This is not a slim, discreet knife, especially once you pull it out. Cool knife, but just didn't quite fit the bill. Anyway, hope that helps. All right, no buried treasure segment today. We'll have that back probably next week. We're going to our measured once, cut twice segment, where we're revisiting or taking a second slice at a previous question or topic. Funk Dad 8. This is in response to last week. We in our FAQ video, we were talking about what I dubbed the big 3 survival knife makers. And I should have caveated that as like the big 3 USA survival knife makers, just kind of the 3 archetypal companies: Becker Knife and Tool, Essie Knives, and Tops Knives. Several of you chimed in with something similar to this. No work tough gear for survival knives? Not even a mention? Wow, seriously disappointed. They're some of the toughest knives you can find. Fair, very fair. I will say, just in my own defense, the reason they weren't on the table, 2 main reasons. One, availability. The work tough gear stuff we get in, we love, but it comes out in kind of batches. You can't just go off and get any model off the shelf any day of the week like you could a Becker BK7, which was the knife we had on the table. So that's one. Secondly, and it's sort of kind of, the fault of point number 1, we didn't actually have anything on the shelf on the day we were filming that did exactly what the questioner was looking for. There were 2 kind of spec requirements there, 7-inch blade and micarta handles. And we didn't have any work tough gear that did that. We just had the Elbrus Gen 2 a few weeks back. Those are G10 handles, but it could have been worth a mention. But the size was good on that and would have stacked up really nicely to the knives we had on the table. Nearest thing I've got right now is the Little Evil Fighter from Zeke Menacho's designer brain. 7.2-inch blade, so again, just beyond, and G10 instead of micarta. But all that being said, I agree with you. You're right. If there's any company that can kind of, in my mind, go, deserves to be mentioned alongside those three, offering kind of, more or less similarly priced products in some ranges, there's overlap for sure. It is definitely Work Tough. And fit and finish wise, I think they kind of better a little bit than those other three brands. So yes, they absolutely should have been mentioned. I should have mentioned them, even if we didn't have anything that exactly stacked up in that case to what the questioner was doing. Well-deserved, and well-deserved being called out on my part. But yeah, it's just like I talked about the Vosteed, even though it doesn't quite line up with our first questioner here. It deserved to be mentioned. Work Tough deserves to be mentioned. All right, now we come to our lightning round for today. 2 CL forwards, maybe a lightning round question here. Whenever somebody on YouTube gets a new knife, they make a point of slashing a piece of paper with it. Maybe that's a fair test of toothiness, but is there a better, simple test of sharpness a knife buyer can use? Well, there is the stereotype of the knife enthusiast with bald arms, because you do the shave test, of course. That is you need a sharper edge to cut hair than arm hair than you do paper, most papers. But I will say, if you're gonna use paper, what I recommend is thin catalog paper, like thin glossy catalog paper, or even like, they don't make phone books anymore, but like phone book paper. The thinner, the lighter the paper, the better for testing, because it's gonna reveal, if you've got a heavier piece of cardstock, it'll stand, or paper stock, it'll stand up a little better to the pressure of the blade, and you can still cut through it even if the edge isn't super good. The thinner paper will reveal all.
I think they do still make phone books. You just got to ask for them.
You have to buy them. You have to order them on the internet, probably.
Yeah, probably. Or, ironically, a phone call.
Yeah, maybe. That internet, man, it's really going to take off, I think. Anyway, EDC Academic with our next question. Before I pull the trigger on the Benchmade Crooked River, are there any similar knives, both in style and quality, that I should consider? I've got a mini Crooked River here, because we didn't have the full-size standard version in stock. I'd say nothing really does the aesthetic of the kind of modern, like fully modernized buck knife, the way that the mini or the Crooked River family does. But there are some things you could take a look at. First off, well, let me pull off the full-size Crooked River. We just didn't have the classic version of it. The Buck 110 Sport is an option. These are priced around $150 with a 3.75 inch blade. So it's less than half the price of the standard Crooked River with the same steel, S30V in both of these cases. So a bit less edge, yes, but less than half the price. So you can take a look at that. It's not gonna have the rapid flickability, fidgetability of the Crooked River, but it is an option. You could also look at the Cold Steel Recon. This is the M1 version in Magna Cut, priced at about $260 compared to the Benchmade's $320. So it is priced less, has a more desirable or a more in-demand steel. I think that's an empirically true statement right there. A more in-demand steel than the S30V on the Crooked River, and little bit tiny, almost the same amount of edge, just a little bit less. So you get maybe better performance, but again, not the same kind of speed, open and close, that you will get with the, thanks to the axis lock on that. But you can check them out. If you really want to save some money, the S35 VN version of this is in the low 100s, something like that. Yeah, like $127. And with S35 VN, and I'd argue that's a more in-demand steel than S30V as well. So your mileage may vary. You won't get the speed or the style with the Recon. You won't get the speed. You'll get a bit of the style with the Buck, however. Do with that information as you wish. Thank you. Now, the most seriousest question of the day, which means it's our final question of the day. Cut and Carry NFLD. I need DCA and Thomas to have a sit down and settle this debate once and for all. Sheep's foot or reverse Tanto? There's only one answer to this. Spey. The original reverse Tanto was more a spey blade than anything.
David, see me after class.
There will be no peace was never an option. There will be no settlement. All right, folks, that's all we've got time for today. Let me know what you thought of the answers down in the comments. If you've got some alternate suggestions, leave those down there as well. And if you have questions of your own, the comment section is where you should drop them in. If you want to get your hands on any of these knives, check out the links in the description to take you to KnifeCenter.com. And don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program so you can earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, smugly thinking about blade shapes. That's all.
It's a reverse Tanto.
We're signing off. See you next time.